Okay, hello everyone. We are back. If you just saw the previous live stream, I kind of showed you guys around my office. I am pretty much changing everything about it. Also, the camera's in a totally different spot, obviously, as you can tell, and I am not used to looking here yet. And also, I'm trying to still piece together the last couple things of my office, and lighting and and the camera, where that goes is what I'm still figuring out. So yeah, please just bear with me if I'm like looking all over the place. But yeah, very cool office. I feel very happy here. I love the little cloud, and also I love this little moon. How cool! How cool is this? I feel so happy in here. And there's more to come too. I'm not done yet. There's still a few different pieces I want to put together for this office, but I will definitely do a tour. A tour once all the pieces are in their places. Sirisha, I'm doing great. How are you? It's been great on my end, just a little chaotic because I hired someone to help me make like shorts and reels and stuff, pretty much just to take pieces of my videos and turn them into TikToks and shorts and reels. So I've got that going, and I'm getting used to, doing that consistently, and I'm figuring out a flow with that. I'm also going to be we're going to be starting up the podcast again consistently. I want to release every Friday, but another perk is going to be I'm going to be doing 2 episodes a week, one for patrons and then one for everyone. And so that's another thing that I am getting used to doing right now. And then of course I still edit all my videos and everything, so I'm just finding little ways that I can save time to create more, and one of the easy ways was to hire someone to help me with the little short videos and stuff so I can have some like consistently coming out every week, and then I can start doing a lot more of the stuff that I want to do, because oh my god, if I could, I would have a video released every day on my main channel, on my second channel. I'm also coming out with a 3rd channel, by the way, guys. But this 3rd channel is going to be more like dreamy ambiences. So the 2nd channel is sleep music, black screen sleep music. The 3rd channel would be like really dreamy ambiences that you can have on during the day just to work or study. It will be really dreamy locations, kind of ASMR sounds with it, just really immersive, dreamy ambiences. That's what I want to do anyways for the 3rd channel. That way you have your education, daytime content, you have your sleep content, and then during the day just stuff to help you relax or to get things done that you want to get done throughout the day. I thought that was a kind of a cool idea for the 3rd channel. But before I even start the 3rd channel, I really want to get some consistency with this main one. So this is the priority right now. So I have shorts that will be released consistently. And then I will be, obviously we're going to be doing the live streams on Monday, and I want to find some little cool things that we can do together that we have not done before on this channel. But yes, main things that are coming are consistent, like little shorts, TikToks, all of that, the podcast every week, and then more members content. So yeah, that's what's coming up, and I'm so grateful that like all the hard work's out of the way. This whole year has been a little bit nuts, but now the hard work is kind of out of the way, and now I get to play a little bit more. And I definitely needed an energy drink today because your girl's tired. Your girl's so tired. I don't know if you guys have tried this one. It's like a 0 sugar natural caffeine type of energy drink, but it's a citrus flavor, but it tastes like Mountain Dew. And I used to love Mountain Dew. And so this is my guilty pleasure sometimes. Okay, let me say hello to everyone. Hello, Patrick, Arish. Hello, how are you? Thank you for being here. Mia, Greg, Halo, how is it going? Zarisha, 𝑨𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂 because I got bored over time. The reason why people get bored over time with reality checks is because they see it as a chore. They see it as something they have to do. But when you naturally induce this curiosity, this new way of seeing the world and knowing that what we see is not solid, this is an illusion, this is mutable, this is like, once you start to deepen your understanding of your reality, you start to become more kind of inspired and playful and curious naturally, because you know that you live in a magical world. You know that you can travel with just your consciousness alone. I mean, and once we start to deepen our understanding of our reality and start to build a natural curiosity around that, we start to experience synchronicities that help us experience things that will also continue to lead us down that path. Like, for someone who's never gotten into spirituality or never even been a spiritual person before, once they start kind of getting into that, they may experience some synchronicities, some guidance, some natural intuitive guidance that will pull them in a specific direction. That comes from natural curiosity, deepening our perception and playing around more. When your brain sees something as a chore, it's going to try to keep you away from it, because no one likes chores. And if you tell the brain it has to do something, it's going to feel stressed out and it's going to procrastinate instead, because now instead of something that's like fun and exciting and can help us understand the reality that we're in, we've now made it a chore, like, oh, you have to do this or else you're going to fail. And now the brain has a lot of pressure to do this thing, and it's trying to do it without feeling inspired or motivated. And so that's kind of why we can fall off of reality checks. Hello, Deadly Destiny. No, this is not pre-recorded. This is live. But yeah, I hope that makes sense. We really want to be careful with the words that we use to our brain, because when we say we have to do something, it can take the fun out of it. And like, for example, do you say should a lot? I say this is shoulding on yourself. Don't should on yourself. Because once we say should, it totally takes the brain out of play, out of being able to choose, being able to be free with how we do things. It puts us in a box. But when you say could, I could do this, that's open, that's inviting, that feels more fun and playful. So just be very careful with the words that you use to your brain, because your brain doesn't have a filter between like what you don't necessarily mean. Like, it just absorbs everything that you tell it. So if you say that you have to do this a certain way or you're going to fail or this or this or this, that's going to completely stress you out. And if you notice that reality checks are boring, how can you make them fun? Like, for example, if I had to set my alarm every single day and just count my fingers and do that as a reality check, I would get bored. But you know what I do? I go outside, I go on what I call a reality check walk, which is me using the world around me as one big reality check. So it's not like me, okay, time to do reality check, I have to ask myself these specific questions, I have to do this a specific way. Play around with it a little bit more. What will naturally make you a little more curious? For me, I love looking at the synchronicity within nature, because it's so cool that when I look at a leaf really, really closely, it looks like the veins that I see on my own skin. It looks like the imprints from my own skin. I mean, there's so much synchronicity and like sacred geometry that could be found in nature that is also repeated in several different ways in nature. And to me, that blows my mind. That automatically shows me that there's a higher intelligent source that I'm a part of, but also that I have so much more to learn about. And that energy can speak to me if I'm open to experiencing magic, synchronicity, positive change in my life. The reason why so many people don't experience magical moments is because they don't believe in magic. They don't believe that it can happen. And so they've programmed themselves to believe that it's not real when it is real. They've just created a reality where what they tell themselves is truth. That's what it is for all of us. There's universal collective truths, right? But then there's personal truths. And I might have a different personal truth than you, and that doesn't mean that mine isn't true or yours isn't true. Our realities are just different, so we experience different things based on the belief systems and the perception that we've created. That's how we move in the world. We affirm our own beliefs, our own likes and dislikes. It's a self-fulfilling prophecy, but if we never question our own beliefs, our own likes or dislikes, that's when we can start manifesting a life that we actually don't align with, because a lot of the beliefs that we have aren't even our beliefs. They were beliefs that were passed down to us. It was something that someone else believed, that we grew up with, that we looked up to, so we thought it must be true, right? This is why it's important to question our belief systems and how we do things and how we think about things as an adult, because you're basically an antique as you're growing up, like created from other people's belief systems, molded from other people's personality, right? So when you're an adult, it's more important to unlearn than it is to learn more. It's more important to look at what's already in your life, in your energy, on your table, and like, is this something that I believe? Is this something that makes sense to me? Is this something that I agree with or I align with? And if not, we can choose a new way to live, and we can also choose a new way to do anything. Same with reality checks. You don't have to do it in a specific way where you feel like you can't play around with it, because dreaming is a natural, childlike practice. It's something that naturally brings us back to the self, but something that it's more about surrendering than it is like trying to force it. There's certain things that in life and actions that you need to practice in order to really master, and dreaming is one of those, but we dream naturally, and I feel like it's more allowing it to more so allowing it to happen than it is like trying to force a lucid dream, for example. Because we naturally get clues all the time, if we are awake, if we are asleep, but we're just so used to being on autopilot that we don't notice a lot of like the weird synchronicities, or like we don't take time to really call back our day to see if it makes sense or if there's any gaps where we just don't remember what's happened. And sometimes I get like that just because like I've had a brain fart from like working all day, and I'll have this moment of like, wait, what did I do right before I got breakfast? There's like this, and that makes me think, wait, could this be a dream? And sometimes I am dreaming, and sometimes I just like totally spaced what happened during a specific part of my day. But that's a pattern interrupt, right? I didn't rush through the reality check. There was something that actually got me to question, like, wait, why can't I remember that? And that's the point of a reality check, is to genuinely have something to question, not like force something. Because if you're not curious about something, it's hard to pretend to be curious. Curiosity comes from such a deep, natural place, right? And curiosity is so playful and childlike in itself that trying to force curiosity like does not make sense. And so that's what a reality check is. It's really checking what reality we're in because something stimulated us or motivated us to come back into the moment. There was something that interrupted our thought process, right? And I think we have to find ways to reality check naturally if we want them to work. And of course, when you first start, I totally recommend either having stuff on your walls that says like, check if you're dreaming, or like, how do you know you're awake right now, whatever you want to do. But also setting your alarm is very helpful because it's getting you to have that pattern interrupt naturally. But what you do in the reality check is up to you. So you don't have to follow the same process. Okay, count my fingers, blah, 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 10. Can't breathe. Okay, cool. Like, that's not going to help anyone if you just like don't even care about what you're doing. You might as well not do a reality check if you're like, oh, this sucks. Like, that is not going to help you have a lucid dream. I promise you. That's creating a lot more resistance than it probably is helping. I would only do a reality check if you truly feel in your soul that it's time to do one and that you want to do one. And if you don't want to do a reality check, now we got to get into why. What are you making it mean? What is the meaning of a reality check to you? Because there's something in there where your brain is like, nope, seems like a chore now, seems boring, I don't want to do it. You got to figure out what meanings you're giving individual pieces of your practice, because if you're disengaged in a specific area, there's probably something that doesn't feel good to you unconsciously that's causing you to kind of not want to do it. And that's not your fault. We just have to learn how our mind works, how our brain works, how we create habits, and how we discover what we don't need to do. Like, it's just about learning about how your brain works, how your practice is, what naturally inspires you, and what maybe you don't need to focus on. Because there's some things that I might need to focus on in my practice that may not even benefit you at all. So this whole thing is very personal. And the only way that we can really figure out what works is by trying tons of new things. So if you notice that you're doing reality checks a specific way and they're not doing anything and you hate doing them, like, then what can we change? What piece can we play around with for a certain amount of time? Just to test out what feels good. It should feel good. Your whole practice should feel good. If there's something that doesn't feel good in your body, we should probably change it. Because again, I always talk about this, but our thoughts can lie to us because, of course, it's based on things that we've been told, only the experiences that we have personally had. It could be based on whatever. Feeling is connected to a deeper part of yourself. Feeling is connected to your intuition. So when you're making a decision in your life, whatever it is, notice what's more active, your mind or your feeling, your mind or your heart. If it's your mind, then you need to drop into your feeling because your mind is going to be throwing out every possible solution, problem, option, what other people might think is not going to be helpful. And when you feel so lost in your thoughts that they don't even make sense, completely disengage with that and drop in to your body, a body scan. And if you are in, we've talked about body scans on the channel before, and if you are working with me or you're in one of my group coaching containers or something, we do body scans pretty regularly. What a body scan is really just understanding how a feeling or an emotion impacts your physical body. It's basically creating a deeper awareness in the body so that you can actually ask your body, your intuition, more than trying to sift through all these random thoughts in your mind. The more you do a body scan, the more you realize how different emotions and feelings feel from head to toe, like walking yourself through the process. Not only are you going to trust yourself more to make the right decision, but you're going to feel it in every fiber of your being, and your feeling will always conquer your mind. If you tell yourself you want to do something, but you feel in your heart that you can't or you don't care, your feeling will always win. Your feeling will always win. Now, this could be used in both ways. Something that really supports us, it helps get us out of situations, but also we could let our feelings, fear, unworthiness, doubt win over actually doing what we're supposed to do. So that's why it's so important to observe how you feel, because if you don't know how you feel, you don't know which place you're acting from. Is it out of fear? Is it out of confidence? Is it a boundary? Like, we will have no idea. Right? So you have to notice how you're feeling throughout your practice, when you're doing reality checks, when you're working out. Where does your mind resist you? Where do you feel really good in your practice? I want you guys to just start playing around with, is this more in my head or is this more in my heart? Like, am I more in my thinking right now or am I more in my feeling? And how do I drop into my feeling more when I'm too in my thinking? The reason I'm talking about all this is because it's so important to observe the thoughts that we're having and how we feel during our practice, because that's going to show us if something's working for us or something's not working. And if there's a thought that keeps coming up that's not very helpful, there's a feeling that it's attached to that you've got to unravel, right? Because our feelings, we can not do something because it's protecting us, because that feels good, but we can also not do something because we don't think we're smart enough, or we don't think we're worthy of doing it, you know? And so even when it comes to your practice, reality checks even, what are you feeling when you do reality checks? Is it frustration because you're not getting lucid from your reality checks? Is it resentment because you're making yourself do something that you don't feel like is very helpful to you? Is it just boring and hard to concentrate, and so you just totally feel like you're somewhere else? You just got to observe how you feel. And that's the only way that we'll be able to take the right action, right? But also, keep in mind, the thoughts that we think create the feelings that we feel in the body. So every time you have a feeling in your body, there's a thought that's feeding that. And it could be a positive one or a negative one, right? It all depends. But the thoughts that we have create the feelings that we feel in our body. And the feelings that we have influence the actions that we take, so the behaviors we have. Because again, feeling will always win. Feeling will determine what you do or don't do. You might have a specific thought, but how you feel, that's what's going to win every single time. So every single thought has some sort of connection to a feeling in your body. The thoughts that we think control the way that we feel. And the way that we feel influence the behaviors that we have. And obviously the behaviors that we have, you know, the things that the actions that we take or don't take, that's what gets us our results. So really our results stem from our thoughts. And anytime you have a action, maybe there's an action that you're doing or not doing, trace it back to the feeling that's actually controlling that behavior, and then what thought is attached to that feeling. And we can change our thoughts, which means we can change our feelings, our actions, and our results. So remember that little self-coaching model, because you can use that in every single area of your life to change what you think, feel, how you behave, and the results that you're getting. Very, 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 very helpful. And this is something that I teach like in my personal development containers. You can use this in anything, like dream work, everything. It's a self-coaching model to help you always have control of the thoughts that you think, the person that you are, and be able to feel how you want to feel. We can control how we want to feel, right? It's just learning what's already in our energy and what we don't need to hold on to. What's an old way of thinking that really doesn't apply anymore? And so often I see in the dreaming community people saying, we have to do reality checks this way. We have to do reality checks that. You don't have to do shit. You can make the rules for your own practice. And maybe a specific type of reality check works for this person because it creates a very strong feeling of inspiration or something. But if it doesn't do anything for you, it's not going to be the same. Maybe it's something that maybe that reality check is already something you've been doing consistently, and it's time for you to try a new one. That's why we can't follow verbatim someone else's journey, because we have different thoughts, different beliefs, different likes and dislikes. We're at different positions in our life. I mean, you know, it cannot be interchangeable. Our practice cannot be interchangeable verbatim with other people's. This is where you get to discover your unique flair, you know, your unique spark, what you have uniquely and individually to give to the world. I believe that we all have something like that we can discover, and I believe that's one of our like biggest quests in life, is to discover that unique spark or that unique soul imprint or soul signature that we came here with, you know, and you're always where you're supposed to be. But if you're trying something and it's not working, that's an invitation to explore something else. And especially within pretty much everything. In dream work, I recommend pushing your boundaries and stepping into fear. In your personal life, you know, in your business, I definitely recommend saying yes to experiences that you know are good for you, but that generate so much fear. Because fear and excitement, there's a very fine line between fear and excitement. And a lot of the time we don't do something because of how we feel in the body. We believe that it's fear, we believe that it's doubt, we believe whatever it is, but it's a new experience that your soul is like amping up for. And so that's when we back out, is when we feel such intense emotions that we say no to the one thing that we were going to go for, but we just got too scared. That feeling is your momentum, and you will see the truth. The illusion will be shed from what that feeling is once you step on the other side of fear. Then you'll realize, oh my God, that was liberation, that was confidence, that was excitement, that was like so much liveliness from doing something that I've never done before. Seek discomfort. Discomfort is your best friend. And if you feel rejection in a specific area of your practice, with a person, a job, rejection is redirection. You will not be able to end up in the place that you're not supposed to be as long as we feel our way to where we're supposed to go. And I've grown up an overthinker, and I'm telling you, it has gotten me basically nowhere. And I didn't start feeling like confident and like in control of my practices, like my dreamer practice and all of that, until I started being okay with feeling discomfort. And really what an uncomfortable feeling really is you just teaching the body what something new feels like. And that's kind of beautiful, because you're walking your soul through a journey that it's not used to having. This is a very like weird journey, I feel like, for the soul, because it's so it's so like, so a different vibration, right? It's so earth-like. There's so many different different lessons, I feel like, that are so necessary to go through, but that feel so scary. And I feel like just feeling uncomfortable feelings is one of the biggest ones. Like, that's why we don't do most things, because we don't want to feel embarrassed, feel like a failure, feel uncomfortable. It's all just a feeling. That's all we're scared of, is a feeling, pretty much. And if you make that your goal, to get comfortable feeling all emotions, nothing will ever stop you in life again. Whether it's fear, discomfort, like whatever it is, I don't know. There's so many, it's very hard for me to name all of them. But for me, how I see discomfort is like feeling alone doing something, like giving a huge public talk or something, and maybe you didn't want to do it because your best friend didn't sign up or something, and you'd feel alone, right? These very specific feelings we're scared of feeling. What if you could take that feeling as a challenge, an invitation to conquer that? Because like I said, on the other side, you not only have that wisdom and experience, but you have the energy from like conquering something that you did not think that you'd be able to do. Now, this is really very a long-winded way to say. This really stemmed from the reality check comment. But I guess I was meant to talk about all this. But the point of that all was, you get to choose. You get to choose. You get to choose what your dream practice looks like. You get to choose what your office looks like. And you don't have to follow any rules. You get to choose the exact way that you want to feel. And then you're just on this Easter egg hunt to find things that make you feel that way, so you can fill up your cup with people and emotions and things that feel really, really good to you, because guess what? You deserve it. And you should remove shame from feeling pleasure, from feeling satisfaction, because that's one of the beautiful gifts I feel like we can give our soul in this life. We're working so hard for having this crazy ass human experience that is so confusing, so scary. Sometimes we're surrounded by idiots, there's like, it's a very stressful thing, I feel like, for this very gentle but powerful part of ourselves to go through. Let yourself experience play and pleasure and rest along the way. I feel like that's something that a lot of us have a hard time doing, is like resting or letting ourselves do nothing. Just letting ourselves be without having to do anything, without anyone needing anything from us, just sitting in presence. Like, you're allowed to do that. And what I invite you to do, whatever your brain tells you you should do, or you have to do, since that's kind of how we started this topic, I want you to play the devil's advocate, and I want you to challenge that and be like, okay, well, who says? And do the opposite and prove to your brain that it's going to be fine. Like for me, for example, before I left to my trip, I told myself I have to get the podcast episode out. I have to. I promised that I would, and even though I recorded it once, I had issues with my mic. I recorded it again, I had issues with the editing software. Now at this point, I had 2 days until I had to leave from Washington. I haven't even re-recorded my podcast, edited it, uploaded it, haven't done any of that. My office is a mess, and my brain told me that I have to do my podcast before I leave to Washington, or else I'm screwed, pretty much. But I didn't understand why. But I just felt this fear of like, oh my God, I gotta do this. And I eventually realized that I wasn't really gonna have time unless I really stressed myself out. And so I just decided to test it, like, well, what is the worst that could happen? And I thought about it, and I walked myself through the process of actually not doing the podcast until I get back. And I looked at the whole thing, and yeah, I realized that there was nothing scary on the other side. It was just because I told myself I would. And that was the only thing that was like making me feel really stressed out about it. But what I think that everything comes to us at the perfect time. Because every time I've had to remake a video or something, there's always some little piece of value that wasn't there before, that really pulled that whole video together. And so you can never miss what's meant for you. And I pushed back on this for a very long time. I'll tell you, I did for years and years and years, because I believed I had to force my way to be where I wanted to be. I had to take this path of resistance that really wasn't necessary. And I really reached a point in my life where I had to surrender and drop in, and to know that what is meant for me cannot possibly miss me. And when something is time to come into my life, I will feel it in my body. I will get the inspiration. I will get the idea. I will meet the person. I will get the opportunity. Whatever needs to happen for that experience to come together, it will happen if it's aligned with my greater purpose, and if I have intentionally opened my heart to receive it. Because a lot of us make the intention, we want something, but then we don't want it to come in. Oh, but maybe I don't deserve that, or oh, maybe I'm not ready. That's not being open. That is wanting something, but then fearing it once it comes in. That's how we push what we want away. That's why it's very important to seek discomfort. Because now when something seems new and scary, it's not an invitation to hide, but it's an invitation to grow, to evolve, to learn, to discover, to become, to create. That is the request through that new experience now. So it's all about changing your perception. It really is. Because we could go through the same exact situation, but have a completely different perception and have a different experience. So it's really important to know that you can't miss what is meant for you. I truly believe that. And regardless of whether you think that is true or not, I believe that the beliefs that we have kind of factualize themselves in their own ways in our life. And because I believe that this is how it works, and that I believe magic is real, I believe that's why it feels so normal to experience magic, what I call magic. Because I don't care what people think about me now. Like, I used to a lot, but I want to live in a world where I can be as childlike and playful and creative as I want to, and still get to where I want to get to in life, and still make the impact that's important to me, and still meet people from all around the world that are like me, that I can connect to. Like, I can't tell you how big of a wound there was with adults telling me that I needed to grow up, or I'm too emotional. I'm too emotional. I feel too deeply. We need people like that. We need people like that. So never let anybody shame you for the person you are, because we need a little bit of everything to create the experience that Earth is supposed to have in some way. I believe we have to have these polarizing things, these different types of people, because that's what shows us what one thing is and one thing isn't, right? We need that polarity in order to understand the opposite, in order to have empathy for others. But yes, the whole point of this is to fiercely and unapologetically be exactly who you know you're here to be. And with creating that intuition in the body, those body scans, really teaching your soul, your body, what different feelings and emotions feel like, and seeking discomfort, like, that's all that's needed from you, is to follow what you feel. And again, our thoughts can be anything, right? Our thoughts can lie to us. But our feelings are our truth. Our feelings stem from something deeper and greater than this human experience. Our thoughts could just be something we heard a stranger say, or a lie that someone grew up believing so hard that they thought it was true, and now it's passed on to us as a truth. We really have to be careful with what thoughts we allow to just sit and grow in our mind. And that's why looking at what feelings specific thoughts are attached to will show you which ones are for you and which ones are actually preventing you from becoming the person that you want to be. But this all can relate to dream work. This is all just a human experience. I hope that you guys got something from that. But yeah, there's so many ways that people say you have to do reality checks. Oh, they have to be this way or this way. Oh, like, fucking ignore all of that. Feel what makes you curious about this reality. What really gets you into deep thought where it just blows your mind. That's the place where you should be allowing your reality checks to go. To the places that you're trying to understand, that you're trying to think and feel more deeply. into in life. You know, you don't, dreaming is not a surface level practice. So we can't do reality checks in a surface level way. For me though, the reality check walks really are immersive for me because again, I can look at the synchronicities in nature. I can feel it, I can smell it, I can just be in this. I love nature. It is like, so I any excuse I can to just go sit out somewhere, put my feet in the dirt or my hands in the grass, I will. And that's helped me dream easier because when you're in nature, it kind of requires a specific presence when you're just sitting there listening. There's so many little things happening. And someone who isn't very tuned into their experience in nature may say, what, there's birds. There's nothing happening. Like, you know those people. But when you're quiet enough, you can hear the liveliness of everything happening around you. Everything. It's almost like you can feel like the energy pulsing through the earth if you listen quietly enough. And that's kind of the state I get into for reality checks. Because if you can make that level of presence a natural program, then naturally when you're in a dream doing a reality check, you'll have practiced such a deep state of presence that you'll totally be able to notice like the weird little things that are off within your dreams because they're there. We just aren't present enough usually to notice them in our dreams, but they are there. So I think just practicing more presence. And I love to just like, I'll go outside, I'll like roll in the grass, I'll just watch the clouds. Like that's just, I don't know, that's what helps me drop in, is just totally being immersed. And just I'll also, like, all the time, me and my dog Juno will go out and look for four-leaf clovers, and we continue to find them. And I save them in my little book. I have them smashed in my little book so I can save them forever. But it's proof that if you actually look for these little things that don't seem very common to experience, these little pieces of magic, they're there. And I think that all of those four-leaf clovers that I've saved kind of remind me of that magic is always there. We just don't look closely enough, you know? Think about what you have to do to find a four-leaf clover. You have to sit on the ground. You kind of have to be, you know, present for a little bit and shift your perception. And there's so many people that I know that wouldn't even sit on the ground and just like chill. You know, there's always somewhere to go. There's always someone to be. And if you're someone like that, lucid dreaming is going to be very difficult. So teaching yourself to be more present, to observe things that you wouldn't have noticed before, right? That's why I love doing my reality checks outside, because they never get dull. They never get boring, you know? So if your reality checks are boring or you feel like they're not working, maybe switch the location and just switch how you do them. Because nature, I don't know, I just feel very excited and playful all the time, every time I go out anywhere. And so that's the perfect time to do reality checks, because I want to feel playful and curious when I'm doing my reality checks. And since I already feel playful and curious outside, tie those two together, neurons that fire together, wire together. So that means that once you start doing your reality checks outside, you'll naturally adapt the feeling that you feel in nature with your reality checks. Anyways, neuroscience and like learning about how certain habits are created, that will really help with stimulating really feel good feelings in the body naturally, or coming about your reality checks in a specific way. So yeah, learn how to create and make habits, learn how to fire and wire certain neurons to make these little things that seem boring more exciting. I promise you, it's just how we present the information to our brain. I promise you. Deadly Destiny, thank you so much for the $1. I appreciate you so much. Thank you so much for the support. Of course, Ryzen. I hope that was helpful. This is something I've so been through. I totally get how reality checks can be perceived, but it's more of that type of journey than a more mechanical habit, if that makes sense. Okay, thank you guys for like chilling while I totally go on a rant. I also do this anytime someone's like, what does art mean to you? I get into like a very, very philosophical, deep place. So I have to like tame myself, come back to earth every once in a while. Let's see. How do you know the difference between the two? I imagine, oh no. Okay, I thought you were talking about the difference between lucid dreaming and astral projection. It looks like you're wanting to understand the difference between astral projection and an out-of-body experience. So it's pretty much the same thing, just different stages of that thing. So like astral projection is really projecting outside of your body. Astral travel is traveling actually outside and away from your body. And an out-of-body experience and astral travel can be used simultaneously. And so can astral projection, but the only difference is sometimes you can astral project but not actually go on a journey, like a full experience. Sometimes you'll just get like halfway out of your body, or maybe you won't even leave your bedroom. So to my understanding, that's the difference between astral travel, astral projection, and out-of-body experiences. The actual experience that you have with your consciousness. It may just be, I got an arm out, which totally happens. It sounds weird, but if you've never had an out-of-body experience, at first, when you're learning to like, because you're just using your perception, you will yourself everywhere. You don't speak, you don't, nothing. Everything is just will and thought and feeling alone in an out-of-body experience. And it's a whole new way of, it feels like walking for the first time, because you're not walking with your physical body. It's just willing yourself around, right? So it feels so weird. So I think, yeah, the first time I induced an out-of-body experience, I didn't even get fully out. I felt myself slipping off the bed, but I like got stuck at some point in my body. And I remember just feeling like I was like hanging off the bed upside down. It is the craziest thing. Your perception of like space and time will be so like altered during an out-of-body experience, but it's so cool. But yeah, like for example, yeah, I could get halfway out of my body and project, like I had an astral projection experience, but it wasn't a full OBE. But they're kind of used interchangeably. I wouldn't care too much about that. Like, we'll all know what you're talking about, and I kind of use them interchangeably as well. But if you're wanting to know the little difference between the two, that's the difference. Okay, okay, Daily Destiny, got it. I hope that helped. My question was, how do you know the difference between? Okay, it looks like up there, it looks like it was astral project. I don't understand. I thought astral projection was an out-of-body experience. Okay, yeah. So that's that's what I thought your original question was, but when I looked up there, it looked like it was OBE and AP. But thank you. The difference between an astral projection and lucid dreaming is lucid dreaming happens within your subconscious mind. So you're pretty much just taking conscious awareness into the unconscious. So you're exploring your inner self, the unconscious part of yourself with your conscious mind. An out-of-body experience is you projecting outside of your body and exploring outside of who you are with your consciousness. So an easy way to describe this, lucid dreaming is traveling inside of your consciousness. Out-of-body experience is your consciousness traveling outside of yourself. So that's usually how I describe it. And you will feel the difference. They can feel similar, and sometimes you can go like between both experiences, which is like really crazy. But they do feel a little bit different. Out-of-body experiences feel more like alien-like more unfamiliar, a little bit more in the unknown. Lucid dreaming, it's all you, like your subconscious, like things that you recognize, things from your day, from your past, so it's not so like foreign. So I'd say that's one of the main things that I notice between like a lucid dream and an out-of-body experience is one feels a little more like homey and familiar and like playful, and then the other feels a little more like kind of intimidating and like otherworldly and like just profound. I can imagine out-of-body experiences is like, actually there is something connected to the two between astronauts and people who astral project. There's something called the outer view effect that astronauts experience when they can actually see Earth. They have this almost like transcendental experience where it's like being able to observe Earth without being on it or connected to it. It's like this otherworldly, transcendental ecstasy that certain astronauts can experience. And it's like this really just deep, profound, like, awe of the vastness of our universe, if that makes sense. And I have experienced the same thing through out-of-body experiences, and Jade Shaw has also talked about that. It's called the outer view effect for astronauts, but she calls it the inner view effect, I believe, for astral travelers. So it's really interesting. That's how real an out-of-body experience is. It can totally just like leave you speechless from, you know, we get so used to this Earth that it's hard to perceive that this is just a tiny little speck in our universe. So actually observing that vastness and that complexity and how small and fragile we are, that seems something that is shared between astronauts and astral travelers. So I think that is interesting. It's hard for us to interpret the experience we have in a dream, for we use a language formed in physical plane to describe a place with words. Exactly, yeah, and it's very interesting to try to explain a lucid dream, but especially an out-of-body experience using human words. They don't feel like they're enough, you know. And I feel like this so often in my lucid dreams as well, but there's certain symbolism and stuff in my lucid dreams that I can use to kind of describe the experience I had. I find it particularly difficult with out-of-body experiences because it's such an overstimulation of things that you've never even heard of or experienced. It's like seeing a whole spectrum of colors for the first time and trying to describe them. You know, it feels like that to me. I always want to astral project, but I have never succeeded yet. I would definitely, for those who are wanting to learn how to have an out-of-body experience, practice astral travel, I would recommend getting really good at like lucid dreaming, because not only can you induce an out-of-body experience from a lucid dream, but also a lot of the techniques and the states of mind are the same. And lucid dreaming happens in REM sleep, and even though out-of-body experiences can occur outside of REM sleep, it's very easy to induce them during REM because you are already in the lightest stage of sleep, and it will be the easiest to kind of maintain consciousness as you mentally rehearse or induce an out-of-body experience. And what I mean by mentally rehearse is most of the techniques revolve around imagination, imagining movement, and feeling sensation that's not actually there. Using your mind to create that type of experience can induce an out-of-body experience. Because if we can create an experience in our mind that is more real than what's actually happening, our brain is going to actually think that's what's actually happening, if that makes sense, and you'll notice your perception switch from where you started your technique to actually where you are envisioning yourself to be. So for example, there's something called the target technique, which basically is me imagining myself standing at a specific target or place in my home while I'm laying in bed relaxing. So if you guys have heard of liminal dreaming, it's pretty much just practicing and maintaining awareness on the edges of sleep. So in between sleep and wakefulness, there's this beautiful, beautiful line that we can ride that allows us to induce all sorts of experiences, really deep meditation, really awesome, creative, unique ideas in this state, lucid dreams, out-of-body experiences. So learning to maintain a little bit of awareness while your body is falling asleep is the #1 skill I'd recommend practicing. And again, this is referred to as liminal dreaming, but also you may have heard this be called the hypnagogic state or the hypnopompic state. Hypnagogia happens as we're falling into sleep, and so you may notice those colors, those bright lights, dream scenes, dream images, and hypnopompia is when we're coming out of sleep and we experience that same state. So we can use both of those states on the edges of sleep to practice maintaining awareness and actually witness a conscious out-of-body experience happen, or even a lucid dream can sometimes happen doing this method. That's why I sometimes say that they're interchangeable. But let's say I'm just laying down, I woke up in REM sleep, I lay down, I completely relax myself until I start to feel my body kind of get heavy, and then maybe I imagine myself in the corner of my room. Now, usually before I do this technique, I'll go over to where my target's going to be, and I just observe the space, what it would feel like to stand there, what the area smells like, feels like. I really just take a snapshot of what it feels like to be here. And then when I go to my technique and I go lay down, I imagine I'm back in that spot. I imagine feeling everything that's around me, seeing everything, smelling everything. And there's going to be a point where if you can make this vivid enough, and if you're in the right state of consciousness, if you're relaxed enough, there's a few things that, we got to take into account, but you will start to actually pick up on senses that are associated with that area. Let's say that area in your house smells like lemongrass or something. Then the more you imagine yourself being in that area, you might start to pick up on smells of lemongrass as you're laying in your bed, shifting your consciousness to this area. And sometimes you just get little senses of being there because, this is an energetic, we're playing around with energy and perception. That's all of this is. So sometimes you won't have the visual of being there, but you'll feel yourself actually there. And sometimes you will have the visual. You'll be able to almost open your eyes and now you're over here as your body's over there. It's a very crazy experience, but it's all about playing with perception and playing with the imagination or the rehearsal of physical touch, movement, different sensations. Smell can also help you induce lucid dreams and out-of-body experiences. Just giving your brain some information to feed on will definitely help induce an experience. Like for me, I love to imagine that I'm like at the beach or something to induce a lucid dream because I have the sounds, I have the smell of the salt, I have the feeling of me like walking through the sand. So there's a lot for me to imagine there. And eventually with, as I deepen my visual, I will start to hear waves. I will start to actually feel like I'm walking. And if you cannot get too excited and still maintain this relaxed state as you just continue with your visual, a lot of the time you'll wake up in your lucid dream and you'll be exactly where you imagined. Sometimes it will be a little different. Sometimes you'll start to get the vibrations and you'll start to slip out of your body and an out-of-body experience will start happening instead. If you can just practice on maintaining awareness while your body falls asleep and getting really good at visualizing and mentally rehearsing different senses like smell, physical touch, taste, you'll get there. You'll get there. Even if you want to, tonight, as you're falling asleep, just imagine hearing your favorite song. Eventually, as you fall into sleep, you will start to hear it. I do this with taste too, I imagine. I try to play around with it. Like, let's say I'm laying down and going to sleep. Let's see if I can imagine tasting tangerine and mango. Whatever, right? Let's see if I can imagine hearing a soft piano playing. You'd be surprised at how much you can experience just from will and mental rehearsal. So that's what I'd recommend getting in the habit of if you want to deepen your lucid dreams or out-of-body experiences, or you just want to be able to have them in general. That is something I definitely recommend just playing around with. Again, this is just fun. It's just to experiment with, and what works for you may work for me or it may not. That's why it's very important to learn your unique way, your unique recipe, spark to your specific practice. But we'll continue to show up and talk about all of this, and I would love for you guys to maybe try some of this out and let me know what happens. If you have never tried out the target technique before, or maybe you've never even thought of using your sense of smell or taste to induce a lucid dream or an out-of-body experience, let me know what happens. I would love to hear from you guys on this and continue following up about this because, yeah, this is so cool. And I definitely recommend music, especially if there's like a song that you know from start to finish perfectly. Maybe try playing it in your head during like a liminal dream or something and just notice what happens. Let's just play around and experiment, and just promise me that you won't should on yourself anymore. Only could. These are all just possibilities. There's nothing that you have to do, except I will say, again, there's still freedom with it, but please write down your dreams in some way. If you really don't want a paper journal, you can use, your phone, you can use whatever. Just make it easy for yourself to track your dreams That's how we even get the messages from our dreams, from our subconscious, is by studying our dreams. That's how we can tell what we're dreaming about, what patterns are happening, so we can actually get lucid. That's what helps us build up our recall, is our dream journal. There are so many reasons to use a dream journal daily. So please at least do that piece. Yeah, no more shoulds. Got exactly. Well, I hope you guys had a great time hanging out. Thank you so much for hanging out with me. I did just do, for those of you who didn't see, I just barely went live and tried to show you guys my office. It seemed very slow and laggy though, which I'm not sure why. But yeah, if you can, it's apparently people said it wasn't that bad, but it seemed pretty bad on my end. But it's like a 10-minute video of me just showing you guys my office. So if you want to check that out and let me know what you guys think, awesome. If not, don't look at it because I'm not done yet. I have to put up the Harry Potter floating candles that I showed you guys. And I'm doing that today, and I'm so excited. So I will update you guys once it's done as well. All right, and know that the shorts are coming, the reels are coming. I've already got like 12 ready to go. So thank you, Mitcha. I appreciate you so much. And we're going. Beautiful things happening, my friends. So good to see you again. So glad that the live streams are back. And I love you. And don't forget it. And if you want to stay connected to the community, you can join our Telegram chat. Do one of my mods mind throw in my link tree in the chat. My link tree has all resources pretty much, but one of the links on there is for the Telegram community chat. So I update you guys in there on my live streams, videos that are coming out, and sometimes I just answer questions in there and just chat with you guys. So it's a way to stay connected to the community. And if you are looking for exclusive content, direct access to my inbox, and all good things related to exclusive content, bonuses, and just a little tight-knit community, then check out my Patreon, where a more exclusive community is. There will be extra episodes of the podcast. You have direct access to my inbox if you ever have questions or anything like that. And it also includes a private Facebook group, so you can stay connected to me and the Patreon fam, and you guys can post in there like your own little Facebook wall, whatever you want. I just want us to be able to stay connected and inspire each other. So check that out if you wanna. Thank you so much, you guys. I will go ahead and pin that right there. All right, check out that link tree if you guys are interested in finding the resources. And also, my website will be done soon. So once my website's up, things will change a little bit with the link tree, since I'll have an actual place for it to be up. But yeah, that's where we're at for now. Love you guys so much. I will talk to you next time. And as always, I'm sending you endless love and endless lucidity. Bye guys. Thanks for joining.